What you should be doing is should be customer support team or your logistics teams keep monitoring every day, count the exception, and resolve it for the customers. And let the customers know you are taking care of them. Figure out your own on-time rates. How many of your shipments you're shipping out 1,000, but how many of them are delivered on time? Those customers, if they see those delay problem, exceptions you're not handling, they would just walk away rather than like complain. And if they complain, they probably are not happy.
So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about optimizing the post-purchase experience you deliver to customers. It's a great episode you do not want to miss, so do stay tuned. Welcome to the 2x e-commerce podcast show. I'm your host, Kunle Campbell, and the 2x e-commerce podcast show, as you know, is dedicated to digital commerce insights for retail and e-commerce teams. Each week on this podcast, we interview an e-commerce expert, a founder of a digital native consumer brand, or representative from a best-in-class commerce SaaS product with a tight remit to give you ideas you can test right away on your brands so that you can improve commerce growth metrics such as conversions, average order value, repeat customers, your audience size, and ultimately sales or your gross merchant value, your GMV. We're here to sell you more sustainably, essentially. Now, on today's episode, I was joined by Alex Chan. He is the co-founder of AfterShip. I remember from my drop shipping days was like the go-to most robust shipping tracking platform we had to kind of track to help customers to track themselves. It was very much tightly integrated with Shopify. It has evolved to become more the preferred platform for tracking for brands, for D2C brands, just as I have evolved from, the hacker tester, um, drop shipper to more a brand, focused e-commerce individual, I would say. They've got over 10,000 clients, including Amazon, eBay, Harry's, Decathlon, Gymshark. And interestingly, I thought they were a bootstrap company. But when you go to their website, it just feels very, it feels very VC driven, website. So they're funded. I think they're funded in 2021, April, a Series B from Tiger Global to the tune of about $66 million. They now have a global team of 250 plus. They have a technical team largely based in Asia, and then the sales and marketing, I believe, is in North America. And essentially, Andrew is more in the product and design side of things for AfterShip. So today I wanted to really drill him down on essentially the 5 core principles from his perspective, like the 5 core principles you need in your post-purchase experience to deliver, ultimate satisfaction to your customers. Within the framework, obviously, of order tracking, I still asked him to step out a little bit from that domain, and he did. And we really talk about customer experience. We talked about international shipping, shipment. Really, really, really thorough individual in the sense that he's able to cover a lot of bases in customer experience. Why should you listen to this episode? Well, the reason you should listen to this episode essentially is to better your game, your customer experience game post purchase. That's one reason to want to listen to this, to understand how to get customers to self-serve. The number one need, so the number one question in customer services is, where is my order? That's the number one question, customers bang on your doors for. So that WISMO, in Andrew's terms, WISMO, which is where is my order, question, how to sort of automate that and then use or deploy customer services resources for more important questions. So that automation bit is like critical, and how to sort of go about it. Other critical bits of how to communicate efficiently with customers all through that post-purchase experience, how to monitor and resolve issues proactively, actually, before customers actually even ask you that question. For instance, what to do with emails that have an open rate of about 65%, which is like the tracking emails, right? His take on the functions of SMS right now, just automating the return flow. So there's a lot of automation going on post purchase, but there is still empathy required post purchase by your customer service team. So if you look at it from this perspective, where you essentially automate some of the more monotonous, repetitive task post purchase or questions, that frees up resources to really drill down on questions that can ruin your reputation, that can upset customers, then you have a better chance of retaining high customer satisfaction. And yeah, that these are the reasons why you should listen to this episode. So enjoy this episode, and I shall catch you on the other side. Cheers. Hey Andrew, it's an absolute pleasure having you on the 2x e-commerce podcast.
Very nice to meet you, Kunle.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I have to be honest, I'm feeling a bit starstruck here because if I rewind a few years back, I used AfterShip. It was one of the most robust tracking. You know, it was like a carrier agnostic tracking app to Shopify that worked, and still works actually, and it looks much better in the future set. Um, Before we jump into AfterShip and just the post purchase customer experience, I'd like to find out more about you. You guys have been around for a while.
Hmm.
What's the backstory? Tell us your story and how AfterShip came about.
Yeah, so we started back in 2011, well, end of 2011. Teddy, the other co-founder, and I met at a startup event called Startup Weekend. Basically, it's a bunch of people, hackathon, 54 hours, that you have to come up with the idea. And then we won the Hong Kong competition, and then we won
Hmm.
the global competition. And then that's how we started. But one key thing is my other co-founders, like has been running online store before we met for almost 10 years. So he was the
Mm,
first batch of people on the eBay top seller selling, the MP3 player with USB. So he has a
yeah.
pain point of like tracking. That time back in that time, international shipment takes over 3 months even
Hmm.
for delivery updates. So you can imagine all. I mean, if you run an online store, like we call it WISMO. Where is my order tickets? Always be the top. Imagine you have 3 months of that period, like people asking you, where is my order? You got to get like crazy and hire tons of people just to answer the same thing. So he built up this automatic system to notify the customers proactively and then get them a really good tracking experience and then get them back to the website and purchase more actually. So that's how we started. Yeah, and time flies. The concept's still kind of the same, but we evolved. We got more customers, and now the team we now have like employees like 375 people, and this year is
Incredible.
going to be like 600. Yeah.
Incredible, incredible, incredible. Shopify was founded in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, and it started to really gain traction in like 2013. When you guys
Yeah.
started in 2011, it was a hackathon, but what did you have an idea? Were you like a platform in itself, a tracking platform for like marketplaces, given your co-founder's background in eBay, or were you building for Shopify? Because at the time, as in if
Hmm.
we fast forward to 2018, when I first came across AfterShip, um, yeah, as in it's a deeply integrated
Yeah.
Shopify app.
Yeah, I think back that time I remember we actually started at Shopify. We won the competition and we launched the product after we met, like 3 months after we met on Shopify. So
Hmm.
we launched our product on like eBay as well, but for individual store. So we didn't really, we first target really the D2C brands, which no one talked about back in 2012. It's just like Shopify store. Yeah, so we started back then, but only till 2014, and then we launched our API product. and then that got really noticed by all the platforms. So we got like eBay, Wish.com, Etsy, those kind of platforms using our API. So it's a scalable solutions for individual store, no matter what size you are, to like platforms like Etsy, and they want to integrate with so many different carriers, so we can help. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're based in you're tuning in from Toronto, so you're about 4 hours away from Ottawa, which is Shopify's headquarters. Is your
Yeah.
team based in Canada? Your entire team now, because you said the hackathon initially was in Hong Kong.
Yeah, so we got the team like the R&D team in Asia. We got the sales team in like North America, including US and Canada. So it's actually only this year we starting really build up our sales and marketing. In the last 10 years, we were just focused on the product and development.
Love it, love
So
it.
the reason I do is just I'm a product person. I've been
Yeah.
using software. I don't like software that charge like tons of money and then not deliver. And then once you sign a big contract, they don't really improve. I don't want to be those companies. So we envision like AfterShip be the better company in terms of
Hmm.
product quality, service, and offering to our customers.
Yeah. So what? How many merchants? I'm just on your your site now. I'm seeing
Mm,
the likes of Gymshark,
yeah.
Kylie, cosmetics. So how many how many merchants do you serve
Yeah.
after ship?
So we have over 13,000 paid customers, and I think in which over 1,000 Shopify Plus stores. And definitely the numbers is growing. For us, like definitely now, in the past we got lots of platforms like the enterprise grade customers like platforms, but we're also getting like enterprise grade customers from brands as well. So brands like Gymshark or even like some enterprise brands like IKEA. So they will
Mm,
use like afterships on the post purchase experience. Yeah.
mm, mm. Super interesting.
Mm,
Let's dig into why you guys exist. Um, there's this transition from shopper to customer, right?
yeah.
And when people become customers, some merchants do an amazing job, some just drop the ball, right? Um, so from your perspective, what are the principles, core first principles merchants listening to this episode should be aware of
Mm.
to deliver a best in class post purchase experience to their customers? We're not talking shoppers now, we're talking to their customers.
Yeah, I think like for the brands, like there are five things that they really need to bear in mind, like post purchase. I think first thing is about the tracking experience. Are you still asking customers to? I still see merchants sending the tracking number without a link. That's really, really, really bad. Yeah. I still see customers sending a link, direct link to the carrier website. This also very bad because the customers expect you to hold the experience from end to end. So the more important now these days, like the basic is about the brand the tracking experience. Like no matter which carrier you use, get the customers like to this landing page, show them the delivery updates, like the delivery time and the support they need, even the carrier phone number. But together like show some marketing asset like even Instagram feed or like your newest like promotion or product recommendation, getting them back to your store. I always say like this kind of experience is kind of like why Apple will place an advertisement on the street. The more
Mm,
you see about the brands after purchase, the more they recognize you. So that's first
yeah.
thing. The second thing is about the proactive notification, sending the customers. It's like Amazon, like that's what they're doing. Email, SMS, or the method the customer choose, get them updates about the delivery. So fail attempt, the customer is not at home. Tell the customer proactively, hey, you gotta be like arranging delivery. Otherwise, it will send back to me, send back to the shipper. So making sure that they get the message and increase your delivery rates. But of course, at the same time, get like some product recommendation that the customers may be interested in. The third thing It's about monitoring the shipments proactively, about like finding exceptions before the customers realize. Like we see common problems, exceptions like incorrect address. So many of the merchants don't even realize it. They only realize when the customers complain. So this is very bad if like you just let the customers to do that job. What you should be doing is should be customer support team or your logistics teams keep monitoring every day, count the exception, and resolve it for the customers, and let the customers know you are taking care of them. And the fourth thing, which many people probably don't have, is called the on-time report. Figure out your own on-time rates. How many of your shipments you're shipping out 1,000, but how many of them are delivered on time? So you tell the customer 3 days, 5 days, but how many of them are late or on time or early? Having that information can help you improve your experience after purchase. And the last thing, the fifth thing, is the automated return and exchange flow, telling customers that go here and you can do it by yourself, no question asked. And having a simple flow like that can increase the exchange rate rather than the refund rate, and also lower your return cost as well.
I love that. I love that. Um, we're gonna cover all five of them.
Yeah,
From my notes, it's like control the experience. Just make it
yeah,
on brand, communicate effectively. Whatever, whether it's through notifications, whether it's through SMS, email, just communicate at every step of the journey. And then when issues, be proactive with issue resolution. And then number four is just on-time reporting. So
yeah.
just ensuring that how many just understanding the percentage of deliverables that of shipments that were delivered on time, and then finally further automation of return flow. Um, yeah. So post purchase,
Mm,
a lot of resources, particularly customer services, are allocated, customer service agents are allocated to serving customers
yeah,
post purchase when issues occur. Um, as you alluded to, the WISMO, which I love that I'm stealing that from you. Where is my order effect?
yeah.
Is in many cases the number one, if you've not taken care of, is the number one question people ask. And then obviously the plethora of other questions of other sort of questions they'd want to ask, but many categories they sort of fit a category depending on your vertical. I guess my question is more to do with with direct to consumer e-commerce brands. What are you seeing? How are they structuring their customer services
Mm.
department optimally to just ensure better returning customers, better customer satisfaction that brings better retention long term?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, the customer support like cost is actually quite high for many D2C brands. They really try to minimize it, but also provide a great experience. So I think choosing the right customer support portal that can deeply integrate it with your shopping cart system is the first step, to be honest. And then the other thing is like use solutions like AfterShip that can show the information, the delivery updates directly within the portal, enabling your agents to answer and resolve the ticket faster. Imagine like customer asks, "Hey, where's my order?" And your customer support say, "Well, you can go to check your Careway website, and then you can check your tracking number in your email." If you were the customers, you probably like quite pissed, right? So you want to say, hey, we see there's a problem, there's exceptions, we are handling it. Sorry about that, we are already resolving it, and here's the updates. So it's already a big contrast, to take it really proactively versus like reactively. Even reactively, having the information right next to you when you answer a ticket to resolve it faster can help you reduce the ticket demand and resolution time as well. So I would think like for if you talk about like where's the order, like having that deeply integrated with your customer support portal and choose the right portal is key. The second thing is about the tracking experience. If you about the hey, where's the order? Do you allow the customers like go to a page that can enter like order number and email, or even just the tracking number to see the status, or they can always refer to an email and then one click and then see the information directly rather than like do so many different steps, right? And that's something I would say like immediately reducing is the reason some customers, I mean, customers these days are very smart. They know how to click and do this. The
Hmm.
problem is the merchants don't have the information connected and then really provide the means for the consumers, and that's why they
Hmm.
reach out. Yeah, you don't
Abs-
see customers asking Amazon that, right? So they
that's
see it.
true.
It's like, why should I ask, right? Unless it's stolen or lost. Yeah.
That's true. That is very, very, very true. And that's deep integration. And I was speaking to Philippe Rose
Mm,
from Gorgeous, customer service platform for Shopify. And one of the
yeah.
things they talk about is automation.
Yep.
Key automation, and so automating the where is my order, um,
Mm,
just training the they're already pre-configured, right, to connect with a service like AfterShip to just reveal the order starts to make sense, and it sort of takes up less customer support resources because that bit has been automated, and then they can ask, as you said, more difficult questions if like an order has been stolen, or if they size or there's a damage, or what have you, which
yeah.
makes more sense. Okay, right. So going into the five principles you talked about,
Mm,
which is controlling the experience. And so I'm trying to query the status of my goods as a customer.
yeah.
One thing that Shopify, I can't really fault the platform for is the way it integrates with tracking information. So when you install, an app like AfterShip, how within the Shopify ecosystem, so while you click track my order, you're taken to the merchant's website,
Yeah.
and all depending on how what app you've installed, and the configuration, you see the tracking information on site. um, you mentioned something like that about it being an opportunity to control the experience. How What are the things? What are the key things that should be on that landing page, the tracking
Mm.
landing page, which is on your domain? Should you have a customer services, chat box there, or should it just focus on one thing, which is tracking information?
I think before the you can always put chatbots like everywhere, but it's not.
Mhm.
Is it really the best? Maybe not really. It's more on really get the well, let the customers to find out somewhere to contact. But once they read the information is key. The first thing is really get the right information out. So we one thing we AfterShip does is like supporting over 900 plus carriers. So regardless which carrier you use, we unify the data. So whether it's a shipment is like in transit, out for delivery, delivered, exception, having something simple immediately to let the customer know the status rather than like get the customers to read something the carriers write, which is sometimes don't know how to read it, is a basic. And then second thing, showing a more reliable estimated delivery date is also crucial. Whether it's reverting like the carrier's delivery date, or I mean, for us, like we help some merchants to estimate a more accurate delivery date is also very key. So I think that that's really the basic thing for tracking the shipments. And once you have done all these things, then you can talk about engagement, about marketing assets. What kind of promotion and that you're doing. What's a new product? Even for example, you are selling subscription model. Let's say you're buying something one off for that particular customers, and you want to encourage them to do the subscription, right? Can you do that? So having a dedicated tracking page just to targeting like people selling one off, and then get them to subscribe to more product, like more orders, right? So there's something that you can think of if your tracking experience is proper. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. So how does AfterShip sort of consolidate all of you know all, all the shipping? I know it's proprietary, but like,
Mm,
how do you sort of know there's so many, carriers out there, and how do you sort of sync with their accuracy? And how do you spot inaccuracies? 'Cause I'm sure that it's like a two-way thing where if you're
yeah.
seeing patterns on, DHL messing up, I'm not saying that DHL actually messes up, but if you're seeing patterns there, you could feedback to them and say, hey, we're noticing, some issues.
We actually need to work closely with the carriers one by one. There's no magic ways to for the integration. Integration is kind of like for us, like working closely with the carriers, of course, with the help of the customer introductions. Like they want us to onboard certain carriers. So every week we onboard like a few new carriers every week as well. So you thought like 900 is a lot, but we still having new ones as well. So having carrier integrations, a proper process in place internally from onboarding a new carriers to maintaining the carriers. And example for maintaining carriers, like carriers suddenly have a new status, right? Suddenly have a new status that is for, I think, maybe weather or COVID or something, right? And
Mm,
then we need to handle it. So we have a monitoring system to monitor if there's a new status come out. And then we will do, internally, we will have the kind of the AI to map thing first, but we also involve human to map the status to not only 7 statuses, like in transit, out for the delivery, etc., but we have
mm.
sub statuses that over I think 40 substatuses that we have, so that we can break down the status into more granular level, which is very important for support. Exception due to the one reason is very different from the other reason. Yeah,
Makes sense. Makes sense. So you've standardized the statuses, but human still needs to map how the carrier actually defines its status with your status, so everything is unified and
yeah,
consistent. Makes
yeah, yeah,
sense. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so second point is communicate efficiently, or effectively.
yeah,
So is SMS a critical channel now for
yeah.
tracking? What trends are you seeing? How should merchants sort of maximize communication that makes it so, shall I say, receptive for their customers to say, okay, these guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, I think like for SMS, definitely like higher and higher adoptions rates from what we see, and for email, it just continues. I mean, it still continues to be the main like channel.
Mm,
One thing about the email open rates, we see over 65% of the open rates for the delivery of these emails. So it's a crazy high compared to the email marketing type of notification. So it's very crucial. They really means like customers care, and then they want to see. And then 25% of them like click the email as well. So people want to really see the updates, the details, and then of
mm.
course, like in which they will see the page, and then they will engage more and then see about your brand recognition. So I would say, definitely email for sure. SMS is of course like if you have the budget, and then if you want to do more proactive, of course you can also let the customer to choose if they want to do the SMS later on. You can also do so with us. And but we see that like some channels for like WhatsApp is increasing for some countries, and but other channels we're still observing. We see some other channels like still trying, but definitely email, SMS, and WhatsApp. Yeah.
Super, super interesting. And then at checkout, I guess the opt-in for SMS or
Mm.
WhatsApp is should be there. And I'm thinking that you need to sort of let them know that they're getting shipping updates via SMS, and the opt-in goes higher, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. And one thing is, I actually for because the shipping notification is considered as transactional. So,
Mm,
meaning the customers don't really need to subscribe it, and by default, you can let them and then let them unsubscribe if you want to. So that's a
mm,
little bit different from the marketing, yeah,
mm.
notification.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so that and then you mentioned the fact that you're seeing 68% open rates in email. there's a lot more real estate in email than the other two channels we mentioned, WhatsApp and SMS.
Mm.
Is that an upsell opportunity, or are you just still informing, them?
Yeah. It's actually 65% open rate. So we do see the brands like having some marketing, but not really hard selling marketing.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like introducing like just the product recommendation, something you may like. I think it's okay, but you don't want to be too salesy or on this kind of transactional emails. So that we do see the brands like definitely find a way, even get back to the store and then just to show the logo and then clickable, come
Mm,
back to the store. Yeah,
mm.
it's something basic that you want to let the customer know that hey, you can come back to the store and shop more.
Interesting, interesting. Okay, so next point is, monitor and resolve. So the customer service teams have a lot on their plate, as you can imagine. They're
Yeah,
firefighting. Um, why would they be looking for problems, or are they alert systems
yeah,
that would let them know that, hey, there's a pending problem? This status has been like this
yeah,
for longer than it should.
yeah.
Attend to it. Check it.
Yeah, so for you get it right. Like there's so many problems, right? How do you do it? So for example, you can set really customized alert inside our system because each merchants are different. So for example, you can say if the status stuck in, let's say, unfulfilled, not even fulfilled, or stuck in exceptions for a certain time period, and then email to your support team and then create a ticket. So you can do that within our system. And of course, the other way, we have the dashboard. You can do the really granular level filtering and then find out those problems and then resolve it one by one. So
Mm,
it depends on your operation team. So you can, and how big it is, they can do different things. And of course, you can create a subset of the shipments. Let's say you have a tag in Shopify, it's like VIP, right? You just want to notify the VIP customers, and then just to look at those VIP, you can do so as well.
mhm,
So, but definitely prioritize to those customers that are important and high value first, and then go from top down. If the merchants haven't really looked at the VIP customers where they deliver on time or having any exceptions or deliver properly, successfully, I really highly recommend start doing it. You will be surprised how much money you save.
hmm.
The retained customers like contribute 20% of we call it loyal customers contribute 80% of the revenue.
Yeah,
So yeah, definitely you don't want to lose it. And because those customers, if they see those delay problem, exceptions you're not handling, they would just walk away rather than like complain. And if they complain, they probably are not happy.
yeah,
So see your team can do something proactively. Yeah.
yeah. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Thanks for that. And then the fourth point you mentioned was deliverability reports, which is like, how many or what percentage of our deliveries actually got to our customers on
Mm.
time. Um, it's how when do you start really looking at this data, and what do you do about the data?
Yeah, so I think the one key metrics that we help the merchants monitor is called on-time rates. So
Mhm.
on-time rate referring like 100 shipments you have, how many of them are delivered on time or early? So you want to aim for like 80% of those shipments that are on time or early, definitely not late, right? So that's something basic that you want to look at. And then you want to see how many of them are really late and how late they are, and you want to get into the granular level and then see, okay, those are really really late, but why? Is it this carrier, this service type, and then this shipping to this country or states having issue? Then you can think about two things. One is to change your carrier mix or carrier strategy, carrier service strategy, upgrade the service, or the second thing you can do is to tell the customers a more realistic estimated delivery date at the checkout or before the checkout. So setting up the right estimation, even give them alert, hey, this is really unstable during COVID time. Hope you understand it, and really set the expectations rather than just not doing anything. I think that's something that's key with this report that they can do the actions about.
They're very, very handy. Thanks for that. And then number five really is automated return flows. Um, returns are could be an issue, particularly in fashion e-commerce.
Hmm.
Um, what's your advice, around the automation? That there are actually some, dedicated Shopify apps for automated returns. What are the net benefits, particularly to customer experience first, and then the bottom line second?
Yeah. We asked like the customers what kind of things frustrated them when they're doing online shopping. And one key thing is really the complex return process. It just like make customers like feel angry, like no, not angry. It's just kind of like, do I want to come back to you? If the return is such a pain in the ass, like yeah, I get the money back. Do I want to buy again? Imagine you have a very smooth process. During the process, just in a few clicks, they can even do the exchange. What it means, like not only the customer is happy, they don't even refund it. They choose to exchange the product instead. So having really an automated flow is very crucial to uh, make the customers like coming back to purchase again. And in the past, like the standard exchange or return process is like email customer support, and the customer support like let me generate the shipping label, and then let me wait for a bit, and then da. But what is the new process is like creating a page allowing the consumers that no question asked. You can come here, just a few clicks, you can generate a label, and then there's one key step is to ask the customer, hey, do you want to exchange to another item first? You don't want to ask
Mm,
them for refund first. Like, do you want to exchange to other color, other size, or do you want to go to exchange to more items? And if
yeah.
they choose to exchange for more items, you may want to encourage them for like extra coupon, extra credit, so that they choose exchange over refund. So those simple things like make customer happy and then also capture the lost revenue for the merchants as well.
Mm. And the other, and what we used to do was also exchange for coupons. Just pure
Yeah,
out coupons. So the only way they could use a coupon is to be on site, right?
yeah,
Which helps. It does
it
help, and
does.
you give them a bit more credits really to shop. Right. Okay. So all 5 points, drilled out. There was a question I wanted to ask in regards to international shipping, and the
Mm-hmm.
reason why is I'm not even speaking in the context of dropshipping, because we don't talk about dropshipping in this on this podcast. We predominantly talk about like digital, D2C e-commerce brands. But Gymshark is on
Mm.
your is on your customers on your website. Your customer, is one of your customers. Um, they, due to the nature of their business, um, they ship to as far out as Australia from the UK. I think from a documentary I was watching, they use DHL. I mean, their fulfillment center is just an hour from me, right? Um, it's very, very fascinating, and that's because they're not selling anything clunky. A pack is, most of their packages are under 1 kilo. For people who shop reasonably, right? Um, so for businesses, for shop, for listeners, operators listening to this podcast now that are in that similar um, position with Gymshark, where their products are not too bulky, they're very concerned about customer service. They've selected the right carriers. Um, what should they kind of like expect when they sort of automate? What tips do you have for them in terms of like post purchase experience, particularly speaking to this tracking automation that you guys do, because it's at scale for Gymshark. Obviously Gymshark is an outlier there, but there's some brands that are shipping or thinking about shipping internationally because there's no real barrier
Yeah.
besides tax. What tips do you have for them?
Yeah, I think for multi-country, like first, like the carrier support, like you ship, like sometimes you may not just use one carrier. So like, even
Mm-hmm.
Gymshark, they're not using single carriers. Like everyone's like use multi-carriers when you grow bigger. So
Mm-hmm.
having a vendors that can support like your growth, whether which country or which carrier, I think is something that is important. The second thing is about the post-purchase experience. Like it comes to multiple languages, so
Mm.
reaching the customers with like the right language, right email with the right language, yeah, user experience, this kind of thing is like really, really basic
Mm.
for when you scale it, because your team won't be, you may not expand to a big team, so you really need the system that can support multi language and then multi carriers
Mm.
when you scale, and then change when your strategy change as well, like increase in new country, new language, or new carrier. These kind of things that you should consider. And I would say the post-purchase experience is kind of like shopping. It's actually quite universal. You buy something, you click the button, you get shipped, and then you get notified. You want to see visibility. Those things won't change. The things change is really um, your the language and then the carrier. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say. So
Yeah.
like focus on those. Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Right, Andrew, we can go on and on and on and on. This is the this is the tail end of this conversation, which I
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyed. Your very wise experience. I mean, you guys have been doing this for a long time, a very long time. Um, we come to our evergreen, rapid fire question section,
Yeah.
section of the show. I'm going to ask you about 5, 6 questions, and if you could use a single sentence to answer them, it'd be brilliant,
Yeah. Sounds good.
right? What advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago?
5 years ago, like hire smart, like fire fast. Hire the A grade people. Just don't think too much. Yeah.
Hmm, okay. Are you a morning person?
Oh yeah, hell yeah, yeah. I love mornings. Yeah, I prefer wake up and exercise. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a daily morning routine?
Yeah. Wake up like 6:45, and then gym 7, and then finish gym 8, and then get to first call at 8:15, something like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
and then get the momentum going and clean up email by 11.
Clean up
Yeah.
you by 11. Okay, fantastic. What book are you currently reading or listening to?
I'm actually not listening to anything right now. But before I read a book called like Who, like hiring A grade people.
Mm,
So there's a book of about hiring strategy, a dedicated process to hire A grade people. I really
mhm.
recommend it. Yeah.
Dedicated process to hiring. We'll definitely
Yeah.
link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Okay, final question is what has been your best mistake to date? By that, I mean a setback that has given you the biggest feedback.
Yeah. I think the big mistake, I won't say, if you look at my career, I keep changing my job at the very early beginning. So I would say kind of mistake. I kind of like, hey, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I like. So I did IT consulting. I launched a sex toy shop online. I work as a PR. I did pay marketing strategy,
Hmm.
um, random things. So I would say the mistakes which I kind of, I won't say avoid it, but I actually like it in some way. So it helps me to do what I am right now.
Yeah.
So I would say the mistakes I enjoy so far. All the mistakes help me learn. I think the key thing for me is not to make the same mistakes again. That's it.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Andrew, it's been a pleasure having you on the 2x e-commerce podcast show. For those people who want to find out more about AfterShip, it's aftership.com. Are you active on any social media platforms?
I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely like reach out to LinkedIn
We'll
with
we'll
me.
we'll,
Yeah.
we'll link we'll link to you on LinkedIn. I'll probably also send you. I will send you a connection request. Andrew
Yeah.
Chen from AfterShip. A pleasure having you on 2x e-commerce podcast. Cheers.
Thanks so much. Cheers.